Thank you once again for having me over for this conversation as the last and the fifth session in the series of conversations that we have had um, for 4 weeks now. As you had mentioned, we started with gratitude and we close these 5 series sessions with gratitude, which we often in vernacular term as Shukrana. Um, as you sort of mentioned that we can't lose the significance of the day, 2nd October. It has special significance in my life. It's an inspiration because it's Mahatma Gandhiji's birth anniversary on this day, and also our late Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, his birth anniversary. They both fall two great men, sons of soil, who toiled and worked very hard for our nation. Um, it's interesting because in both my if I go back nearly 60, 70, 80 years back, uh, my family, both from paternal side as well as maternal side, were involved in the freedom movement. My paternal grandfather, who was an educationist, joined the freedom movement and spent considerable amount of time during the freedom movement in jail as part of the freedom struggle. He was an educationist by background. My maternal grandfather was also a Congress leader, and pre-partition, he also spent several years during the Quit India movement in the Multan jail. And I sort of, it's very nostalgic that, 2nd October, 15th August, and 26th of January are sort of very nostalgic days, because what we see today as a nation is the toil of millions of such grandfathers and grandmothers who really struggled for the freedom of our country. So therefore, the days has special significance for me, as it is for a billion plus population across the country. Uh, so a special day of gratitude to great men from the freedom struggle, and obviously the great Mahatma who led the freedom movement. So that's where it stands. Even when I was growing up, I realized that I had not seen either of my paternal or maternal grandfathers, but I had seen both of my grandmothers, and the usage of khadi in the house was very, very common. I think more important than that was the whole passion for nationhood, the whole passion for love for the country, and because they had seen that struggle. So I think they came with a different value system, which I find eroded after some time, after generations. That passion to serve the country. There was no agenda attached to the service to the country. So, I think that has somehow got diluted in present times. But I have witnessed that, and I have heard, been regaled with stories from both my grandmothers on how they used to spend, and they were all alone, and the men were out, and it's sort of jailed, and they were home with young children, and how they were also participant in some sense in that freedom movement, just supporting the family and the children at that point of time, which were my parents and both my mother and my father. So I think it's very, I think also gratitude to all of them. Often we only give gratitude to the great Mahatma, but I think there is a great amount of gratitude to be also given to Kasturba Gandhi. There are women in every men's life, and I think you have to give gratitude to them as well, because it's great amount of sacrifice that they put in, and to let the men go out and do whatever they need to do. So that cannot be undermined or not be reflected on this day. I think they were also indirectly part of that struggle. I think uh, Marley, who was one of the singers, says some people feel the rain. Some people feel the rain, others just get wet. I think we had the full shower of grace of our Master in our lives, and we can but only be grateful to him. If you remember the context that I had given in our first conversation on
Yeah.
inhaling sabra and exhaling shukra, the reverse
Shukra.
shukra actually, and it should become part of our lives, because the grace that he has showered on us in form of uh, many blessings that we have received, and I think it's important that that is to be sort of remembered, and so I think the gratitude is something that is some is a is a hall it should become a hallmark of a Sai devotee, I think. Essentially, if you look at Swami, the kind of joys that he has given us, small, big, and he continues to shower that in our lives. As it is said, it is not the joy that makes us grateful. It's a gratitude that makes us joyful. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's important that we remember that, the little blessing, the little pats, the little talks that we had, and the opportunities that we had. I think those are all to be enjoyed in gratitude and be joyful about, and they are not to be forgotten. They are to
Yeah.
be remembered every moment of our life. Yeah, and a simple formula to that is what Rumi says: what you seek is seeking you. So if you're seeking joy, the joy will come your way.
Yeah.
If you express gratitude, the gratitude will multifold send joys into your life. So it's a very easy formula. Two important principles, as they say, of happy life is that use things and not people, and love people and not things. So I think as our master has taught us, love all, serve all. I think that's something that we must sort of constantly practice, and also bring it in action. I fundamentally believe that all this big talk is nothing unless you bring it, fructify that into an action. As Baba
Absolutely.
also says, I did not come to teach you. I did not come to teach you. I came to love you, and
Yeah.
love will teach you. I think as he I just quoted Swami saying that I have come to love you, and the love will teach you. I think essentially the love that he has shown or showered on us is something which should become part of our daily being, and a monitor for our own selves in terms of how much love in my action have I put in a particular day. In whatever I do, whether I do my office work, whether I do my daily chores at home, in terms of sharing my love with my kith and kin, my fellow workers, my domestic help, my somebody who drives me around. I think if you bring all that element into your daily life, then you're truly going to be joyful, according to me. And I think you will remain in that state constantly, if you're in that situation. I personally feel that Swami himself was a great personification of gratitude. I have experienced that myself. In 2010, after sort of Swami went back from Delhi, and I traveled back with him, and this is something which really touched And I constantly reminds me every single day that incident, that how he, despite being the divine being, was so humble and so full of gratitude. And there was something for me to learn from all that. When I went back, and I was invited to sort of have prasadam with him on the dining table on three occasions at the Yajur Mandir. Now, on the final day, I was sort of leaving, and then I got onto my knees, and after this is after the dinner, and Swami said, "I'm very happy. Uh, you made beautiful arrangements in Delhi." Hmm? And I was in tears. I said, "It is all your doing. It's all your mercies." And he says, "No, no, no, Chima. It's all your work." So what does it teach you? I'm narrating that incident to you because um, that wells up my eyes when I hear, when I those sound those words resound in my ears. It shows that even my master is setting an example of gratitude for us. So I think there is a great amount of learning. His life has been is something to be watched. His words are something to be remembered and imbibed and practiced. I think all three things to be done, and so it sort of engulfs you when you see that kind of love and gratitude coming. And I think that was hair raising sort of experience that I had on that evening. I was standing next to Swami on the next to his dining table, serving, and that evening, I think it was day two, and 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 like a court gesture, Professor Anil Kumar will, amuse him and, joke to lighten up the mood. And Professor Anil Kumar comes from Guntur district, so I think they actually eat very spicy food. He told me that we eat very very spicy food, and he said, this food must be very bland for you, and lo and behold, he shook his head and said, yes, it's bland for me. and and we arranged, I think, 10 kilograms of four different varieties of pickle, which was flown, and this was all prepared in advance actually. And we had brought 10 kilograms of four varieties of pickle from Andhra, uh, anticipating that something like this could possibly happen. And very shortly, in a tray, four varieties of pickle was brought to his table. So Swami actually teased him and said, "Now you must be very happy." Uh, and so it was very interesting, little stories that we have, and hopefully one day you will find all of them in some form of a book, which whenever I get time, I'm going to author it. Those memories are still vivid. My wife used to do aarti every morning, before he used to go down for darshans, and also in the evening when he used to come back twice a day. And I remember the day he was leaving, which was 18th of April 2010. He stopped and gave her Pad Namaskar. Obviously, her eyes were welled up. And it was a very emotional moment. 9 days that she had had a privilege to, sort of cook for Swami and, serve him. And, he just thanked her. Again, an example of how, in his own subtle way, and he said, I had given you so much trouble. All these words, how will we ever forget them? And she was obviously all teary-eyed, and anybody would be, overwhelmed with emotions that he was physically leaving at that point in time. But again, our hearts are full of gratitude, and I think it will remain to the brim till the last breath. I think it's a beautiful journey, and I think this is a life to be lived in gratitude. And if you can do that, I think there's nothing more beautiful than that. As Lisa Heckman says, that in a society that has you counting money, pounds, calories, and steps, we all have these watches now, we're watching steps. Be a rebel and count your blessings instead. Uh, so we should count our blessings. Yes, there will be troubles, there will be this graph of going up and down. That's part of life. But I think uh, we should just be so, our hearts should be so full of gratitude that we have so many blessings. You know, there's a very interesting Chinese proverb, and that says that he who blames others has a long way to go on this journey. He who blames others has a long way to go on his journey. He who blames himself is halfway there. He who blames himself is halfway there, and he who blames no one has arrived. So I think this blame game and whining, if you can with his grace, and that's what you should pray for. If you are able to surmount this, I think you will find yourself as a much happier human being, a much joyful human being, uh, a much more satisfied human being, as opposed to just whining all the time, just shifting things on others when things go wrong. So I think it's very, very important. I actually, this is a very important Chinese proverb because, and even Swami's 9-point code of conduct also says this, that we should. I think those 9 points, if we are able to follow in our lives, the reason it is code of conduct is because that's how we should conduct ourselves, and often we slip. So constant reminder is if you can put on a slip these 9 points and keep it in front of you as a constant reminder that I need to watch all of this all the time, and it could help you. We all get angry. We all feel disgusted. We all feel down. We all feel because we are human beings and we will confront with natural situations of ups and downs of life, and our human reaction will be different at different points of time. But if you able to constantly remind ourselves of what is the conduct that my master is expecting from me, I think it could go a long way in making you a happy human being. Okay. He spoke in Hindi, he spoke in English, both the languages. And then the third language is the language of the heart. A lot of times I would be seated at his lotus feet in public, when he would come out for public darshans. And Swami, only if you saw him and looked at his eyes, you could actually sort of read that what is his next, what is he trying to convey to you. So there was a lot of that to and fro as well that was happening. So I can say three languages, two expressive and one non-expressive, only through at a human level. There's a very beautiful line in Hindi, and it says, "छूट जाए अगर साथ यहाँ की भीड़ में, छूट जाए अगर साथ यहाँ की भीड़ में, तुम रूह से जुड़े हो, तुम जुड़े हो, फिक्र मत करना." You are connected with him through your soul. Don't worry about all this. You have, he's connected and you are connected with him. These are my favorite lines from Bulle Shah. And I can, for the benefit of all, I can recite these lines for you. It says, "Ki mandir ta, masita ta." Agar even if the temple falls or a mosque falls, तादे जो कुछ टेंदा, जो गिरता है उसको गिरने दे, एक ना टाई दिल बंदे दा, मेरा रब दिलां विच रहिंदा. He in God resides in the human heart. Don't ever hurt that human heart. I think I have added a line, "Mera Sai Dilan ch rehanda." I got another very beautiful quote from a fellow traveler on Sai Path before the start of this session, and I must read it because I think it's Swami sending me this message, and it says, "इबादत वो है जिसमें ज़रूरतों का जिक्र ना हो, इबादतें वो हैं जिसमें ज़रूरतों का जिक्र ना हो तो बस सिर्फ उसकी रहमतों का शुक्र हो." I think it's very important to live in awareness, listen to nature and our surroundings, being sensitive to the life breath of Mother Earth. I think it's very important. I touched upon all of that in my previous conversation. And believe in the indivisibility of the existence. I think that's very important. And so if you imbibe all these, and this all comes through the teachings that we have learned at his lotus feet, that both animate and inanimate world is all one, and that oneness, and we must live in that oneness. So if we're able to do that, I think it it will lead our life. We could lead our lives with greater joy. Look at the environment that we have sort of created and the violations that we have done. Look at the climate change issues that are arising in our lives. Look at the floods and everything else. So one sort of prayer that I do every single moment of the day, and I've learned this. I think it has become part of me. When 15th March 2020, the Corona thing had sort of started the affecting our lives in a greater way. I started sending early morning messages, with Swami's photograph and a rose offering or flower offering to him with the prayer that he has taught us. What is that prayer? Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. That let all the sentient beings, not only in this world, but any other worlds that they exist, be happy. So that's the prayer that we must learn and make it a part of our lives. I think we often we get into the mode of teaching others, but I think we need to practice this in our own lives. I was reminded of a few years back, I think it was 2014 or 15. I went to Jerusalem, and I went to the Holy Wall, which is the holiest and the holy for the Jewish. And I remember, I put my head. They give you this yarmulke to put on your head, and I sort of wore that skull cap, and you could actually put a small slip into the wall as your prayer. And I wrote these words on that slip and actually put it there. And I put my head on the wall, and the words that come to me are Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. So it should become a part of our daily prayer, a part of our breath, and we should send these positive vibrations so that our environment becomes cleaner. Our homes, our hearts, more than homes, our hearts become more warmer to and more sensitive to the nature around us. To achieve the highest latitude, in the world in which we live, it says that to achieve the highest latitude, have an attitude of gratitude. As Rumi
Sanchita,
says, be like a tree, let the dead leaves drop. That is how it should be. All the all the externalities that let them all drop. I think what is important is your inner journey. Let me end with Rumi. Rumi is one of my favorite authors. He says that all worship is burden. Uh, Without love, all worship is burden. All dancing is a chore. He used to whirl around. You find these Sufis do whirling the way.
Yeah.
So he says, without love, all worship is burden. All dancing is a chore. All music is a mere noise. You may do bhajan, but unless that love is there,
Yeah.
it is just not not there. You need. So I'm going to repeat these lines. Without love, all worship is a burden. All dancing is a chore, and all music is a mere noise.